What's going on YouTube? So within the Chevy lineup, the three-row SUV people tend to think of is the Tahoe. But they also have a three-row crossover that's almost as big, the Traverse. Now what I'm standing next to today is the fully refreshed 2022 example, designed to take on a long list of competitors such as the Toyota Highlander, Jeep Grand Cherokee L, and Kia Telluride. So how does this refreshed Traverse stack up? Let's go ahead and find out. Now the Traverse has always been a pretty handsome looking SUV in my opinion, and for this 2022 refreshed, Chevy has basically enhanced a lot of the design here in the front with the latest design elements from other Chevy products. So up here in the front, you'll notice the grille has been expanded. It's a little bit bigger than it was before, and the design has been tweaked. And as far as what the differences are between the trim levels, essentially you're adding chrome as you go up. So when you get to a top-end model like this Premier, you're going to have a lot of chrome bars that run through here. The only exception being the RS trim level, which subs this all out for a black mesh trim. But some of our bigger changes are over here with our lighting. So we now have full LED headlights, but we also have a split design like what you have in the Blazer and some other Chevy products. So up here at the top, we have our LED daytime running light and turn signal. As we move down to a separate cluster though, we have another daytime running light, which kind of brackets around like that. And then this right here is actually your main headlight. And this, like I mentioned already, is full LED, and that's across every single trim level, but there are no fog lights on any models. Let's talk next about our wheel options. Obviously, being a refreshed model means we're gonna get some new wheel options. You're gonna start out with 18-inch alloys on your LS and both of your LT trim levels. And then when you get up to the RS or this Premier, that's where you'll get the nice looking 20-inch alloy wheels. The RS has the same design, but gloss black. And then you have a different 20-inch alloy on the top end, High Country. And then coming up here to your mirrors, this is a setup that's gonna give you more features as you progress up the trim level. So heating is gonna be standard on all models. Going up to the LT trim level, we'll throw in the blind spot monitoring system. Going to the RS, fold the mirrors, and then you'll have auto dimming on the driver's side with the Premier or the High Country.
Now the Chevy Traverse is huge, and by mean huge, I mean huge. This is around 10 inches larger than that of its main competition like the Toyota Highlander and all of those vehicles. This comes in at 206 inches in length, which really isn't even that much smaller than the Chevy Tahoe. But I do want to also point out a few things. Of course, on this high-end model, we have roof rails up top, and I also want to point out that all of the wheel arches and lower moldings are going to be body color since we have at least the Premier or High Country trim. Now, let's talk about the rear design. Chevy has also really tweaked this to make it look more premium than it did before. It's not drastically different, but the things that they've changed have really just made it look so much more upscale, and I'm a big fan of it. So let's talk about here in the center. We have this kind of black and chrome piece inside of with our Chevy emblem right here in the middle that connects the taillights. Looks really good. And then off to the side of that, we also have updated premium LED taillights. These are full LED, and they have that really nice design. It has almost a three-dimensional look to it. And then if we drop down to the lower area, we're gonna have all of this. We have trapezoidal exhaust outlets if you go for the Premier High Country trim level, and we're gonna have a 5,000-pound tow rating. Now this is a family three-row, and I'm happy to say for this updated 22 Traverse, you will have the vast majority of your safety systems as standard equipment, so that will be forward emergency braking, auto high beams, and lane keeping assist. And then if you go for the RS trim or above, that will also throw in your adaptive cruise control. Well guys, I'm a really big fan of what Chevy did on the outside of this Traverse. It really makes it look a lot more premium. But join me as we head into the inside, and then we'll take it out on a test drive. But before we do all of that, we would truly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down below, also tap the notification bell, and followed us on TikTok and Instagram.
So coming up to the Traverse, as you can see, we do have the smart entry system. This is standard on all models, and remote start will come on the LT leather. And then to get inside the vehicle itself, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so just press the button to unlock. And taking a look inside the cabin of this refreshed Traverse, you're not going to notice any huge changes to the overall design, but just like with the exterior, there's a lot of changes to the individual details, which we'll talk about as we go through the video. Now, in terms of our different material and color options, the LS and the LT are going to come standard with cloth seating. The LT leather and the Premier, those are going to come standard with this real leather you see here today. You got the choices between jet black, a tan color, or exclusive to just this Premier is this really nice looking maple sugar option, which I definitely like. Additionally, the High Country, that's going to come with perforated leather, and it also comes in an exclusive color called Clove. Now turning over here to the door trim, you're going to see the same leather reflected up here. So we have it across the armrest as well as all this center area with the nice perforation through there, as well as the color contrast stitching. We do have a kind of faux aluminum trim right through there, and the top part of the door trim is actually going to be hard touch. As far as the windows, they're one touch auto up and down for the driver only, auto down for the other three, and then we do have memory seating included on the LT leather and above. Coming to the seat controls, you've got the standard 8-way power adjusting seat on all but the very base model. And then, like I was mentioning, this is a real leather. As you can see, it is nicely perforated. You've got the white piping around the outside edges and the color contrast stitching, which looks quite nice. Now, as far as your material quality, that is going to remain the same, just like most of the design. So across the upper dashboard, this is actually going to be finished in a hard touch plastic, but it does have a kind of rubberized texture to it. And as we move down to the middle portion, this is all finished in a nice leather. I particularly like this section here, which has the perforated design and the color contrast stitching. That goes down all through here. Then as you get to the lower areas, these are also going to be hard touch, but everything does fit together nicely. Then to start it up, put your foot on the brake and press the standard button. And right from the start, you're going to notice one of the 2022 updates, and that's the fact that we have an enhanced gauge cluster. So right here in the middle, we have an 8-inch multi-function display, which just kind of has the little analog gauges on the outside, but the vast majority of it here is digital. That gives you different functionalities, like different options. You can also go into the settings and switch into different designs if that's what you want. This is very similar to what we have seen on the Acadia, but it was something that was not available on the Traverse until now. Now as we pull back to the steering wheel, you have the brand's typical steering wheel design. Almost all the models will have the leather wrap steering wheel, and if you choose the LT leather and above, you will have a heated steering wheel as well. As far as the adjustment, it is actually going to be power adjusting on the Premier and the High Country, which is a pretty rare feature to see in this class of vehicle. But let's take a look at interior storage, because that's very important for anything that is a family model. So we open up our center console here. You're going to be greeted with a nice size shelf. You can of course remove that and put that to the side, and once you do, you're going to notice a lot of storage. This is a very deep center console. We do have a felt lining down there at the bottom, and just looking at it, I already know when we get out this big stack of coupons here, it's going to fit in here. No problem whatsoever. Plenty of room to spare. Actually, we could do a second layer if we wanted to. Now up in front of that, we've got our 2 cup holders. You also have another shelf in the front. This does have a wireless phone charging pad, which is standard on all but the very base model. Nice rubber to hold it into place. You've got your 12-volt outlet as well as your USB connections above that. Now coming back to the shifter, of course this is just a traditional style one, so you pull back for drive. You can shift manually with this little toggle on the side. However, there are not paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then heading into reverse, you'll be greeted with this 360-degree camera system if you choose the RS trim level or above. Really nice resolution on this, like we said in many other Chevy products. You also have a ton of different angles you can choose between, so you can kind of cycle between different views, like the side view, so you can make sure you don't scrape your rims, stuff like that. Certainly a nice setup. And then behind the shifter, you do have your electronic parking brake. Off to the side of that, you also have your four-wheel drive controls. But now let's advance up the dashboard a bit. The next thing we come to will be our climate controls. So this does have a standard 3-zone automatic setup across every trim level. Very simple to use. You have the dials right here, fan controls, zones, everything's physically located so you don't have to dig around for the settings. However, this is an area where I do want to discuss something that is important to know if you're looking for a Traverse, especially right now. You'll notice over here we don't have the usual heated and ventilated seats. So normally heated seats would be standard on the LT leather and above. Ventilated seats would be standard on the Premier and above. So we should have both of them. We don't have either of them. That's due to the chip shortage. So right now Chevy's building these without heated and ventilated seats. You get a $50 credit for now, and then you do get the promise of a later retrofit as the chips become available. But just be aware, if you buy right now, you're not going to have those options, at least for the time being. Okay, so as we come above that, we also have our audio controls. You get a standard 6-speaker audio system. Higher end products such as this one here will come with the 10-speaker Bose Centerpoint sound system. So we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is excellent. Definitely has plenty of bass to fill up this big cabin well. Alright, so now we're here at our infotainment display. Before we get into this though, I do want to point out a piece of storage I failed to mention earlier. It's easy to forget because this is a pretty rare thing. I've seen this on very few vehicles. You have a screen that pops up, so if you press that button, as you can see, the display is going to power up there, and then you're going to have a nice felt-lined storage area to stick, I would assume, something valuable and small that you kind of want to keep hidden, maybe a wallet, jewelry, something like that, because a would-be thief probably would not think to check behind there. Okay, but let's talk about the display itself. So we do have some changes on board with this. So you got a standard 7-inch display with the Traverse. When you get to the LT leather or above, that's where you'll get upgraded to the 8-inch display you see on this example. And what's important here is mainly the fact that we have the addition of wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. That's actually included on both the displays, even the smaller 7-inch display. So certainly nice to see that added functionality this year. As far as the rest of the infotainment system, this is the typical Chevy Infotainment 3. On the Premier, that is also going to include a built-in navigation system, which has the upgraded graphics. But moving beyond that, as we come above, we do have the auto-dimming mirror, which you flip that switch, and it also is a rear camera system, like we've seen in some other Chevy products. Certainly very helpful for a big vehicle such as this. And then you have your HomeLink universal remotes up there at the top. As far as the lighting, it is going to be LED. And then we'll take a look at our sunroof situation. Press that up there, that's going to fling back the front panel. However, this is actually a dual panel setup. So you do have a power sunshade in the back. And then you've got the separate front sunroof, which does open up. This is included on just the High Country, but you can option it on to the LT Leather and the Premier for $1,500.
All right, guys, so the Traverse is one of the bigger offerings in the entire segment. That is certainly going to pay dividends for the second and third row space. We have 38 inches of legroom, 40 inches of headroom, which does make it middle of the pack in terms of the competition like the Toyota Highlander, the Grand Cherokee L, those type of vehicles. It is right in the middle of that, but there is a lot of space. As you can see behind your seating position I would say 8 inches or so of leg room. My feet can slide easily up underneath the seat. There's a ton of space for your feet to go. And I do want to point out the captain's chairs that you see right here. That is actually going to be standard on all but the very base model, but Chevy does offer bench seating if you would like that. That is a no-cost option on most of the trim levels. But as far as these, they do slide forward and back, and they also recline as well, and they have your nice little armrest here, so you're certainly going to be comfortable, and the kids won't be fighting because they won't be right next to each other directly. Now, let's talk about the features for this model. Now, we have the Premier trim, which does get you the vast majority of stuff. Your climate controls are standard on every single model, so that is a nice touch. You can adjust your temperature, your fan speeds, and your modes. If we drop below that, we do have a household style outlet as well as 2 charging USB ports, and then we also have this little hole right here for additional storage. Now, I do want to point out that typically you would have heated rear seats on High Country as well as the Premier trim. Once again, it falls victim to the chip shortage, so you're not going to have that on this particular model right here. And then our vents up top are right up here, and then we also have an assist grip as well as some lighting. Then of course you do have the second moonroof right up here. Now, you know I said there's a lot of space in the third row, so let's go ahead and check that out. Now, Chevy has made it very easy to get back here. You see this right here? You pull that lifts the seat up and out of the way, and it allows it to slide forward, and I have no issues whatsoever getting back into this space. Now, let's talk about the third row itself. Now, it is worth noting the seat is scooted all the way back. You cannot even slide this thing back anymore. So typically you probably have it scooted forward a little bit more, but we have 34 inches of leg room, 38 inches of headroom, which does place it above that of the main competition like the Toyota Highlander, Grand Cherokee L. This is one of the largest third rows you can get in the entire segment, so that's certainly a benefit. Also, in terms of just the overall comfort, we have a charging USB port here on the side, we have cup holders, and we also have vents. So this is overall one of the best third rows you can get in the entire segment. Alright guys, so walking up to the tailgate, as you would expect, they do offer a power tailgate. That's going to be standard in the LT leather trim and above. And then if you go for a Premier or High Country, that will also throw in the foot activation. So just wave your foot under the bumper, and it does open up. It is very far off to the left side, as you can see. Now, as far as the space itself, this is probably hands down the biggest advantage of getting a Traverse over some of the competition, is that you have a lot of space. So we have 23 cubic feet behind the third row seats. If you fold that down, you have 58 cubic feet behind the second row, and as a maximum, you have 98 cubic feet of space. Yeah, you heard me right, 98 cubic feet as a maximum. Most of the competition will top out around 80, so you're looking at almost a 20 cubic foot advantage for the Traverse. So that's certainly a benefit for many families if you need extra cargo space. Now, let's talk about the features. Now we have a carpeting along the floor. If we lift up that cargo floor, there is additional storage up underneath it here. I'd say at least another couple cubic feet up under the floor. And then the third row itself is going to be manual folding. There is no power folding third row option for the Traverse, unlike some of the rivals like the Palisade offer. The passenger seat is 8-way power on this model. You have the lumbar support. And then if we open up the glove box, this is a really good sized glove box. Of course, as you would expect with all that space in the second, third row and cargo area, the glove box also has a lot of space. Fits in there perfectly fine, the coupons do. And then up top, we have a sun visor, we have a nice mirror, we have gently fading in LED lights. That's a nice premium touch. And then we can also detach the visor as well as extend it. Like that, we're up to 60 miles per hour with this Traverse. So one of the things that carries over this year is the powertrain situation. So it comes with a V6 engine, naturally aspirated, which is actually more powerful than most of the competition. It's a 3.6 liter V6 engine making 310 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque. Generally, a lot of the rivals are usually less than 300, 290, 280, stuff like that.
So it felt really good taking off there, even though this is a pretty big vehicle. It seemed like it gets moving quite well.
Yeah. I think that additional like 20 horsepower over the rivals kind of compensates for the fact that this is bigger and probably a lot heavier than some of the rivals. But yeah, no, the acceleration felt good. Also, the nice V6 refinement was there. It's not like a really loud engine, so it was great to just accelerate off with a silky smooth V6.
Right, and the turbo 4-cylinder is not available this year. So let's go ahead and talk about the other aspect of the powertrain, and that's the transmission. All versions of the Traverse come with a 9-speed automatic transmission. From behind the wheel here, it seems to be a very nice and responsive transmission.
Yeah.
As you put your foot down, no hesitation to shift and give you the power you need. Nice and smooth and refined as you just accelerate casually like most people will be on the day-to-day.
Yeah. You're going to have standard front-wheel drive as well, optional all-wheel drive. And as far as your fuel economy is concerned, we'll go ahead and talk about that. You're looking at 21 miles a gallon combined for front drive, 20 miles a gallon for all-wheel drive, which is pretty much competitive with the competition. It might be a little bit less than some of the other rivals, but not by much. It is worth noting you don't have a hybrid, though. But now that we're kind of cruising out on this country road, I want to talk about your ride quality for the Traverse. That, of course, is really the part that you're here for. Powertrain is important and stuff, but really for a family 3-row, you're most concerned with it just being comfortable and just soaking up the bumps. This is an extremely rough road. As you can see, it has it's barely a road, really. And, it really is doing a great job here. There's a lot of potholes, and it's just soaking up the bumps really, really well. And I'm also just noticing there's not a ton of body roll. It does seem pretty much composed here, so I'm impressed with the ride quality. I think you're going to be very happy with it. The seats are also very comfortable, and we will get a sound level reading at a later point in this video so we can compare and see how quiet it is compared to its rivals.
And this is not exactly a small vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, but it does feel more manageable than, say, something like a Tahoe out here on a small country road.
Alright, and let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. It's going to be sitting at 61.4. Now, it is worth noting this stretch of road is quite rough, so it's not exactly a fair comparison to like a regular highway.
I would say
it sounds very quiet in
it
general
sounds
for me.
quite quiet in here.
So I don't think it's any much louder than the competition, if any at all.
Yeah, we just can't find the right type of road in this area.
Now, let's go ahead and mention the Slam Dunk and Airball for a Slam Dunk today. I think easily space could definitely be a good one, but I think just the overall 2022 improvements to the exterior have been really impactful. I think just it looks so much more modern and more premium than it did before, and I think that's a huge leap forward for the Traverse.
Right, and on the Airball side of things, it's going to be the things that were left undone, which I would have liked to see. For instance, we haven't talked about the pricing yet, but this is a pretty expensive model, and there's some hard touch plastics in here I would rather not see that the competitors also don't include. So there's a few cheap elements that I think they could have made a little bit more premium for this price.
And let's talk about that price. So we're starting at $33,700. These prices are for front drive, keep that in mind. And then you go all the way up to the high country, which starts at $51,200. And if I pull the sticker out of the glove box here, this particular tester is the Premier with all-wheel drive, and we also have a few options on it, as well as like a $50 credit for the vented seats. Plus the $11.95 destination brings this one to $52,840.
As we come to a stop here, I will mention we do have an auto start-stop system on board. I'll let my foot off the brake
It's really
yeah,
smooth,
really
guys.
smooth. They've
Yeah.
done a great job with this. Over the years, this has just gotten gradually better and better, and really this one here, it's hard to even notice at all.
Yeah.
But anyways, when it comes to this 2022 Traverse, I feel like the Traverse is kind of a model that fell off people's radar as far as 3 rows go. But, you know, really it's something that should be on your radar, especially with these 2022 updates, and especially considering the size. You know, if you're the type of person that needs that extra space, you feel like it's a little too cramped maybe in the 3rd row of something like a Highlander, then you should definitely come out and check out the Traverse.
Well, guys, that's all for our in-depth review of the refreshed 2022 Chevy Traverse Premier. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, or both, please hit that subscribe button down below. Also tap the notification bell because that will give you notifications on all of our most recent content. You won't want to miss out because we have a lot more content coming up. So please hit that subscribe button if you're interested in cars, and also follow us on our TikTok and Instagram pages because they have a lot more other content on there that you might also be interested in. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.